Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are operating in reverse. When we started this show, Joseph, we were like, okay, we kind of like, here's where the trailer is going to be. We'll know this, and we'll speculate on this, and we'll get to go from here to there. And then the leakers just decided to blow that up and throw it backwards. So welcome to Scarlet Fever, episode 8. We've made it to 2 months of this show. A little golf clap for the two of us. Come on, everybody out there. We can hear you. It is the hottest Pokemon podcast in the world, and we are approaching maybe official information, but don't worry, we have unofficial information. Like, I feel like if this was any other game, I feel like it would be a really huge story. Like, imagine if, Breath of the Wild 2 leaked in this capacity, or Mario Odyssey 2, Metroid Prime 4. I don't know. I feel like because it's Pokemon, people are like, it always leaks. But this level of leakage is just unprecedented.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, as much as Pokemon does leak because, people are really antsy for information, this is without a doubt the biggest leak we've ever had. Like,
yeah,
I think we spoke about that last week, if anything's kind of reached this height, and I was a little unsure because I knew there have been leaks that have been correct before, but this is like, we practically have the game, at this point, everything but how it plays, we kind of know. And then of course, like, the main story, but I don't think that's really, something worth leaking until it's here. So yeah, I think it's absolutely insane that this is happening. I do find it a little weird that only the Pokemon community is talking about it, because
we're here to we're gonna throw this one on CNN. We're gonna throw this one on Disney Channel. We're gonna get it out there. So couple housekeeping issues. One, today's show is jam-packed. We're talking about Pokemon picnics. We're talking about the comparisons between Legends Arceus and Scarlet Violet. We're talking about Paldea. You don't know what that is, then you will soon. And we're talking about some starter evolutions, as well as flags, evil teams, and so much more. I did want to make a little note that we are announcing the Lechonk winner on my Twitter. So go to twitter.com/SwitchForce to find out who captures Lechonk. The first capture, not a live capture, because the live capturing is not back in Scarlet Fever, but it'll be a normal capture. Oh, and thank you for all of your support and your reviews on iTunes. Keep those coming. They do help. Even if you can't get Lechonk, there might be more prizes in the future. But for now, let's take a little heat check here. It's pretty clear now that Violet is all about the future and Scarlet is all about the past. Mm-hmm. Are you okay not having Scarlet Fever? Are you okay having, Violet shakes?
I don't necessarily think I want Violet shakes, but I do think that with what we know now, I am still very much, because again, my whole reason for Violet really was the future aspect. So yeah, now that I know it certainly does play into it, I think I'm cool with my choice. And of course, okay, that's the point of having friends, right? We can pass each other our time. I'm not sharing my paradoxes with you. Man, I knew it. I tried to butter them up. Well,
the past does not interact with the future. What?
That's very true. That's my future mindset. That's my problem with it.
Yeah. You think everyone's just like happy and working together and all the tribes are coming. No. It's not how it plays out. But what does play out is apparently Pokemon picnics. Joseph, come on, man. I'm going to take you. We haven't seen each other in person in a long time, but when I do, I'm going to take you on a Pokemon picnic, and we're not going to really eat, maybe, but we're going to mostly focus on washing and grooming, have a little outdoor bath. This is the weirdest stuff ever. Pokemon picnic is the equivalent to camping, Pokemon-Ami, and it says that you wash them. You wash them.
Yeah. See, what's really weird about this is it's Pokemon Picnic, which is essentially confirmed. That's what it's called. That's what everybody has been referring it to. What's really weird, though, is I feel like camp would have made sense more for this than the original camp did. And that should have been Pokemon Picnic. Because in Sword and Shield, the whole point was you set up a tent, but the whole point is like you cook for them and you all hang out. So it's like, that's a picnic. This is a grooming session on the go, I guess. Very, very weird. I mean,
it
it's
increases
always cute.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it increases their friendship and restores their HP, but some don't like to be. Some Pokemon don't want to be healed, apparently.
Yeah, that does. So does that mean? I guess maybe is that their way of like making it not super overpowered? Like, also, if you can just heal them at any point, what's the point of a Pokemon Center? Or like, is that just not the problem now? Like, are we at the point where like maybe not having a Pokemon Center near you isn't necessarily a bad thing because now you have access to this? But then is it too easy because you're able to heal? Like, we're
in a post HP future here, man. Nobody cares about
I know.
HP and
that's
Violet.
What we made it. Yeah, you guys don't have Picnic, unfortunately.
Yeah, what is Picnic? What is yeah, definitely not washing each other. We're dirty. We're up there just rolling in it. It's so strange. Yeah, okay. Between the gas station Pokemon centers, between this washing to restore HP, it is interesting. Like, are they nixing that element being, sort of the difficulty gate? It's I don't know how that's going to work out unless there's some limit. Maybe you only have a certain number of washes, or maybe you can only do one Pokemon at a time, or they could limit this and it could be a nothing burger. But it does seem very odd, and we can tie that into sort of the whole the gyms don't scale. We've had that confirmed multiple times now, but you can do them in any order. It seems like this game would be a cakewalk if you knew the order to do it in.
Yeah, it's really strange because I guess the reason why this is particularly upsetting, the gym news, is because there's already an in-universe explanation to how they do this. Like, in one of the Pokemon anime, like, we see Brock have a different team based on how many badges Red had.
You have,
like, he goes, how many badges do you have? None? Okay. And then he grabs just 2 Pokeballs, and you see there are more. So, like, it makes sense that a gym leader goes based off what you have. Because, again, they're world-class trainers. Brock did not become a world-class trainer having a level 12 Onyx. Like, that's not how he got there.
Spoiling my childhood, man. You're ruining it.
I know. He probably has, like, some crazy, like, insane level 100 Steelix. I don't know. Like, that doesn't even make sense because he's a rock type. But again, like, the point is we have a reason to believe that these gym leaders have adjustable teams. Not having it, I'm sorry, just kind of reads as lazy here, unless there is a reason. And granted, I guess we are getting things through leaks, so we can't really judge the game on its choices.
Sure.
Because there may be challenges, like going back to the Picnic real quick. Maybe you have to buy like shampoo, to have on you to even activate the Picnic.
Right.
So there is still like management in terms of like items and stuff. Like, I need to, I'm going to go on a long journey. Maybe I should have all this stuff with me so that way I could heal along the way. Right. Like, fine. That's basically what potions were anyway. So if this is just a more on-hand potion, fine. But going back to the gym thing, that just doesn't, there's no way in my head I can kind of justify it. And then the fact that you can still, confirmed, tackle it at any point. Like, so I can just go to the 8th gym and get absolutely obliterated. That doesn't,
it seems like that defeats the any order. Yeah, it seems like that, well, there is an order. You can do them in any order, but you probably can't. So
yeah, like I don't know, in Breath of the Wild, like, you can literally beat the game without facing a single guardian, or like doing any of the guardians. So it's like, that made sense though, because it's like a skill-based combat system. It's not, like, people could seriously do some crazy stuff in it. In Pokemon, it is an RPG. It's all about stats and numbers, and like, you can't really cheat that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any way. Could your Brock story though play in? I mean, obviously we'll have to wait and see what the Pokemon company themselves reveal about this, but could it be that they don't level scale, but they have a number of Pokemon? Or does that count as level scaling? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, because it's like, well, so let's say I go to the gym leader the eighth gym leader for I actually there really isn't quotations because it does seem like we do have numbers technically. If we go to the okay. No, never mind. I was thinking the wording was a little bit weird. What if they meant that the okay. What if now this isn't there's literally no reason to believe this is it. But it would still make sense. Leak. This is a Riddler Joe lead. Don't say lead. No, I don't want when this does not end up happening. I don't want it back on me. What if it doesn't? It's not that it scales to your level, but it does scale based on badges collected. Because they never say that it doesn't scale to progress. They say the levels don't scale. So the way I can see that is, well, what if I have a level 20 Pokemon and then I do my first gym battle, which are usually around level 15 highest. They don't scale up to me. So then, whatever, or
I hope,
or maybe if, it just doesn't make sense to do it in any order. Cause again, the whole point of an open world is to not guide the player through you want to guide the player, but it's through points of interest. It's not through hard levels and you never want to go into an area and go, oops, I shouldn't be here. And it be because of levels. It should be because you're scared of it or the challenge is more, I don't know. It's just very bizarre.
Let me have a Riddler Zach leak here. This is completely just off the wall, but wouldn't it be neat if they just rethought gym leaders completely? So there are repeatable challenges that get more and more difficult as you go, and so you're kind of running them almost like you'd run a instance or a dungeon in a MMO or something, for different items or different XP. And so you can do them in any order, but they do it's not as much of this is the way to beat the game as it's been in the past. It's more okay, these are 8 challenges around the world of Paldea, and you can keep coming back to them, and there's some way that they are not scaling, but they're increasing in difficulty. So the fire gym is adding different fire Pokemon or building up, and you're kind of I don't think Pokemon would do that. It's very ballsy, but it would be kind of a neat way to play into the open world nature of the game.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. And also it fixes a problem that Pokemon games in particular have, especially compared to other JRPGs, which is weird, is that when you beat Pokemon, the world is dead. Once there's the post game is, especially with how they've been kind of pretty bad with post game. When you finish a Pokemon game, there's almost nothing to do except for multiplayer. And the games that have gotten over that hump are the games that we see are loved the most. You have, again, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is built in 2 games essentially. And then Black 2 and White 2, which introduced the Pokemon World Tournament, which let you play against characters that essentially haven't been seen in at that point 10, 15 years. It was crazy that you could fight Red, Blue, all of the first gym leaders, all of the second gen gym leaders. That is the way to do it. And then you could rematch gym leaders in there, and then they'll have updated teams, level 60, 70 teams. And that was always really cool because it's you kind of reinvigorate these gym leaders that you fought them when you first started, they had nothing. Now you fight them at post game, they have these awesome teams that are strong enough to fight you. So I think that would go really well hand in hand with what you're saying, where what if it was kind of a challenge every time you went, and it always got harder. It was always a fun, so if I did rematch the fire gym and that was my first gym, I'm not just steamrolling the leader again. I would like to have kind of a challenge and see them grow too.
Twitch brain, okay, you're gonna do a run where you're how many times can we beat the streamer girl, and you're just going again and again and again. But I'm gonna blow your mind now. What if the gym leaders don't have Pokemon?
All right, explain. I'm ready.
They're just races. They're just different races around the world.
Okay, I mean, honestly, it would depend on how they do it, because I'm so down for the racing thing. I genuinely think it's going to be a really fun. It again, depending. I don't want a temple run like just swipe the lanes type deal. I don't want Sonic forces just boosting through things. I want like Mario Kart Pokemon. Like that's what would be cool. If that's the case, I mean, it would just have to be, there would definitely have to be a battle at some point, but it as long as like, you know, as long as the gameplay for it is fun, I'm fine with it. Again, like with Alola not having gym leaders at all, I think that was kind of rock bottom for me. I really hated the prospect of not having gym leaders, not because I like the gym challenge. I like the characters, you know, and like, I don't know, the way they sold the kahunas wasn't as like cool to me. I don't know.
Yeah. But let's just mod this game. I'm already making my own version. Okay. So like a multiplayer mode where we race, you know how they said you can get into battles on race or on your bike. So like you and I are going and we just hit random battles and you face random Pokemon, and like depending on your team, my battle is going to go quicker, your battle might take a little longer, and we got to race, beat the Pokemon, race, beat the Pokemon. And it's like a really crazy timed fight to the finish to see who can get done first.
Wait, that's a really good idea. That's like a really, really, really cool idea, actually. And it would be cool too because, well, what if like the gyms that you're at aren't, so like let's say you go to the fire gym, right? You would assume, and we're going to go off your gameplay here to make this as interesting as possible. If you guys are both racing, so it's you and the fire gym leader, right? And every so often you hit that battle, first one to finish it gets to move to the next one. Like you said, what if the random Pokemon that you are battling are weak to the gym leader? So like you're at the fire gym, but you'd be battling random like grass Pokemon. So the idea now is you're racing someone who is in their element. You know, you're racing someone who does have the lead. And so like now there's a way to like introduce some type of planning ahead where it's like, okay, well, this guy is essentially all ready to beat me in this race. I need to have something that could steamroll through this as well. That would be really interesting. And then, you know, there could even be like, maybe you don't hard lose if he beats you in the race. Maybe then you battle the gym leader. Like maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe there is still a way to,
I would love more dynamic gym battles, like not just the battle. Yeah. Like in that way, like, I don't know, how badly he beats you determines how much of a starting advantage he gets, or, you know, some sort of multi-layered, you know, almost like a, you know, it's like, I don't know, like Ninja Warrior, like Legends of the Hidden Temple, like first we do this and then we do this, and like the total score at the end determines, you know, how it goes. Yeah,
I know. I think it would be really cool. And it's funny. I feel like that should have been similar to, or rather, that should have been what it was like in Sword and Shield, because the whole idea in Sword and Shield is that it's a sport. It is a it's for show. Even the gym leader theme has cheering in the background. Like it was clearly meant to be that. But at the end of the day, it was really kind of the most straightforward gyms we've had in a long time, where it was just
who has
essentially
do
a little puzzle and then gym battle, and then exactly just have a bigger Pokemon at the end. So I do think if they introduce stuff like that, I can see a lot of like purists getting upset about it. But again, I think what people need to understand is that we're not trying to make like the best Pokemon game. We're trying to make the best game possible, right? And I think that's why like when we're talking about this stuff, we're not going like, okay, let's only use what Pokemon has done in the past. We really want to see it pushed forward, because at the end of the day, Pokemon's already mainstream enough, right? Like they don't need to prove anything. And I think that's kind of the problem, is that they don't need to prove anything. And so they get kind of stuck in this never-ending loop of putting out pretty mid games for everyone outside of the Pokemon community. This would be something that would really turn heads. And I think like that's really what we should push for, is having it be so that people outside of the Pokemon community are like, you know what, that does look fun. That does look interesting. I like this. And I would. That was pretty much that.
I doubt it, but I would love it. I don't know. I'd like to believe that these leakers love Pokemon enough that they're leaving something cool still under wraps. You know, if
I'm hoping,
you'd hope. They're at least teasing us with the starter evolutions. We have a very theatrical trio here. We have supposedly conductor, dancer, and singer. You know, I feel like this it's one of the best original trios. Like this, the beginning, the first forms are amazing, and I'm now a little bit worried about the final forms. I'm a bit worried that this is going to be that thing that I personally don't love, where Pokemon goes really complicated, really humanoid, and imbues this very humanistic personality upon these creatures, which is more of their modern era stuff. But Fuecoco's a singer? Like what?
Yeah, it is interesting, and to actually kind of in a weird way bring it back to what we were just talking about. Those are all like entertainers, right? Like that's kind of
right.
And usually starters do have that kind of through line. Again, the best one being, in my opinion, X and Y, which had the you had like a rogue, a mage, and a paladin. Essentially, that was really cool to see. So with this, it looks like they're all entertainers, which again just is weird. That seems like a sword and shield thing that we should have done, but fine. It is a little weird. I will say this though, we apparently have seen.
Oh God! Bring up the sketches. Bring up the sketches. Bring up the sketches. Editor Gabe, show him the sketches.
Just for context, we literally thought there's this leak that basically someone confirmed, I think it was Centro, right? Confirmed that there was leaks out there of these sketches. And so Zach and I are like, what? This is insane. This is like, how is nobody talking about this? Why are these not everywhere? And we finally saw them, and wow.
It's like someone drew them on their iPhone. Like they had like 16 seconds to draw them on their iPhone, all three of them. And this is what they came up with. I mean, I don't know how much information you can possibly take from this. Okay. We've known, I guess, that Fuecoco stays on the ground. Mm-hmm. We know that the other two are more bipedal. Other than that, though, like these strange sketches, I mean, Sprigatito definitely has some nice, cool, like Kanye glasses or something going on there. I don't even know what that is. A mask, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense, right? With it being like a magician type thing.
Yeah.
The way I'm visualizing it is I think that Sprigatito is probably going to end up similar to Delphox.
Yes.
I can't imagine it looking very different. I mean, even down to it being like a very feminine starter, because I think that's kind of it was something Ku had said all the way back anyway, that it was going to be like a waifu Pokemon. So right. I think that's just kind of the way it's going. I know a lot of people are going to be sad about it, because especially when it comes to Sprigatito, people wanted her to really keep those paws down, but we're going to get like a very magic.
Keep those paws down, girl.
Yeah, and then it's weird too, because it's like dark grass, and it's like I don't know. There's a lot. It makes me sad, because Sprigatito was actually the first time that the most basic. Because again, in my opinion, it was kind of the most basic design. It's just really a green cat. Not to say it's not adorable. It absolutely is. All three are perfect. But it was the first time that the most basic one was like. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do Sprigatito, but now I don't know, man. People are going to think I'm weird when I throw that thing out. I'm scared now. And then with like Quaxly's final evolution, we did see it in that leak, the back of it at least. So if it looks similar to Sceptile, I think that's cool. I don't know what it has to do with dancing, but
I guess it's like since this is Spanish based, maybe like flamenco dancing. It's going to throw its big wings up in the air and do some fancy cool moves for you.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know the Fuecoco thing though.
What even conveys singing? Is he just going to have a big mouth? Like I don't even understand. Like the other two make sense to me. They're very you can embody the role of this conductor magician. You can embody the role of a dancer. What is a sing? Like he's just
we did have
narcissistic.
that
Like I don't even
leak-
understand.
Yeah, he just has like a huge like head on
Ego
him.
problem. Yeah.
We did see that. I don't know if you remember. We covered it on the podcast. They Koo said that there was a mohawk thing.
Yeah.
So what if it's like a punk?
Oh
like,
yeah, he's got like
crocodile, you know what I mean?
like eye makeup or something, like a big slash
Yeah,
through his
yeah.
eye, or like a electric. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. What was its typing? It's the only one I don't remember. I know. I know that it's for Sprigatito, it's dark grass. For Quaxly, it's water fighting.
Yeah, Fuecoco's Fire Ghost.
Fire Ghost. So I mean, it being a punk rock kind of
Fits.
gator, right? I mean, I think Poison would have been probably more on the
Maybe
nose.
it's a goth gator.
Goth gator. That works. That works. Hey, you know what? I'll take it. And at least it's going to be on all fours. I think that's going to bring more interesting design choices in it because it's so easy with a bipedal creature. You can design it like because you know everything's going to be shown. With something on all fours, it's a lot harder. I just hope it's not goofy because when things came to 3D, it made a lot of Pokemon look very goofy, in my opinion. And I don't know. I just hope that doesn't happen.
If we get super like logical about it, like I think the fact, remember they talked about the whole chicken thing, like that, you know, like so I wonder if that like rooster chicken, like maybe it just has like a big call, like maybe that's the singing element, maybe it has some, I don't know if you can think of any loud, proud chicken moves, but maybe it just has some characteristics that are, you know, like it has like a big roar. I mean, maybe it's a big roar, a big call. Like maybe that's more where they're going with it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And again, I don't know. Third evolution starters are always kind of worrying because it's the make or break moment, right? Like you're only with the first level for an hour, if that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the shortest amount of time you are with any Pokemon possibly. Like it is crazy. So really, you can't really go off those initial designs, even though those are the ones that are cute and drive us all in. You really kind of have to think for the future here. Cause I know like when I was younger, I always in Hoenn, I always picked Mudkip because to me, if I wanted a little buddy, Mudkip just looked so cute and I want to cuddle with it. And I want to like, it looks cute and cool. And then it becomes Swampert and it's this really ugly, I love Mudkip, right? I will always pick it every time. I hate it though. Swampert is the ugliest looking thing, especially when you have Sceptile and Blaziken. So as a kid, I was always like, man, I really, you know, I messed this one up. But so that's why it's like, I don't know who I'm going to pick. I'm so scared to make that mistake and be stuck with something ugly.
I think Fuecoco's goal is just to revolutionize the quadruped because like Bulbasaur really cute, Venusaur kind of just a behemoth. And I think the goal is like, can we make a cool looking quadruped? And for me, like I'm a really big fan of the middle evolutions. That's kind of where I find like the sweet spot in a lot of generations. I really enjoy those designs. But like you said, you're going to be spending the most time with that final form. So it is a make or break moment. I think it's going to be exciting to see. I think it is going to dramatically change up. Here's my prediction. I predict that Quaxly becomes the favorite after we see the final evolutions.
I honestly, I think I have to agree with you. I think just from seeing its sprite from the back, it looks like it's probably going to be the coolest one. I don't know, something about it. Especially because Quaxly's kind of been like, you know, probably the least spoken about. Yeah, I think he's kind of the one everyone's going to pull for at the end. But again, I don't know. The typings really are what's throwing me off with a lot of these because Fire Ghost is like, I love that. That was what I had in Legends Arceus was Hisuian Typhlosion, which is like an awesome type. I think it's so cool. Chandelure has it. Awesome. The other two, I don't know. Water fighting is like, I love water and I love fighting, but the only time that I've seen it is like Crabrawler and like, I don't know, Pokemon like that. And it just never really spoke to me. So hopefully, you know, when seeing the designs, there is a moment where I'm like, locked in.
Yeah.
But for now, I really am stuck between the three. What about you? Is there anyone that's like hard pulling for you right now? Or?
I feel like I have to pick Fuecoco just because I'm a hard pass on Sprigatito being this whatever. I don't know. That's just like you said. It's like it's a Delphox thing, and it's just not really for me.
Yeah.
I think Quaxley is cool, but I think for me, I don't think I'm gonna like his final form. I think it's gonna be too dramatic, and so I feel like I'm gonna end up with Fuecoco, which works for me. But who knows? Like you said, we need to see. Maybe Sprigatito defies all odds and comes through and is great. We'll have to wait and see. We won't have to wait and see on the map, the region, the map. We got quite a bit of information this week. I think that might be the sort of the most important leak that happened. The Japanese name is Paldea. We don't really know how that'll translate. When they do reveal it in true form, but we have a little bit of the map and we have some details on the map. So it's apparently kind of big.
Yeah, I don't know. The wording that we've been seeing going around is very, I don't know. It's almost against itself in a way, because on one hand we see that people say it's not going to be big. So like, it's a big map, but apparently like the ocean is very huge. So there's that. They were kind of like making it so that we weren't getting too hyped about the size. But then also there is a claim that Paldea is bigger than all of Hisui's areas combined. And that's where things kind of get a little messy for me, because that sounds huge. I personally, I don't know how you felt about it, Zach, but like with the Legends Arceus games, I never felt like it was a small map at all. And on all of the areas, I thought that they were like perfectly sized throughout.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the sort of very segmented nature makes it seem bigger or smaller, though. Like, if put together, I don't know if that would make it feel bigger or if that would make it feel smaller. The fact that you separately load in, the fact that they're inaccessible from each other, is there trickery being done where it's like, well, in reality, these areas are like right up on each other, but because they're separate loads, it doesn't like they kind of fake that they're really more vast and spread out. So I think this is going to be one of the more interesting elements, because remember, 4 players need to be able to go wherever they want in this. So it has to be big enough to support that, but at the same time, kind of, I think, small enough so we recognize the regions, we know the areas, and so it can keep a congruent, not linear apparently, but congruent, path. I think I was just going to say the island part is the most interesting to me, because being able to like pull up at an island and get off and have a lot of interesting things to do, different ones would be cool. Especially if there are different ways to sort of gate some of these areas so we uncover them later or gain access to them later. I think that could be a really nifty element if there is a bunch of water, a bunch of ocean.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I think the only thing that worries me is I know that the spacing between things is probably going to be dramatically larger than we've seen in other games, because we have a motorcycle, and I feel like that does play into it, because having a bike is no, don't say that. You imagine it's like it goes at the speed of your bicycle in other games. It's just
or slower,
aesthetically different.
Yeah, it just pulls way out, and
and you have to refill it with gas.
Man,
that's now we're getting into it. This is the game we all want.
Yeah, who
I don't know.
Thought in 2022 you'd be buying shampoo and gasoline at the Pokemon Center.
Hey, we said it, right? Revolutionizing the gameplay. I do agree. I think the islands are very interesting. I hope they go for like kind of a Wind Waker type deal where there's like maybe little islands, strung across, and maybe there's like little things to do on each. That's it just sounds like a dream come true, right? Like being able to just find an island and have stuff to do on it, rather than it just being like visual flourish. But that's where I kind of get scared, because like going off of Legends Arceus again, like I love that game with all my heart, but there were definitely moments where I would find something that I would think would have a bigger importance to something, and it's kind of just there to be there. And I think in those moments the game felt a little empty. I have seen people kind of feel that way about the whole game, but I never felt that way about the whole thing. Just like little moments like that. So that's where I'm kind of afraid, if the game is bigger than all of those areas combined, I do hope there's stuff to do in it. I think that's the problem with open world games to begin with. So I know I'm not the only one that has that sentiment, but yeah.
I hope that there's just some cool co-op things to be done in these islands or in these worlds. We see mass outbreaks are back, which I think is very interesting. And we've talked before about like some quests of like, oh, go catch 10 of this. So it'd be cool if it was like, oh crap, there's name a Pokemon in this game. Pick somebody.
We'll say Girafarig.
Yeah, so there's an outbreak of that, and oh, this quest wanted a bunch of those to test the new, evolution. So we got to go pull up at the real smoke-covered island and catch a bunch of those, or something of that sort. Or even like I don't know, throw a safari zone out on an island. So like, oh, let's all meet up at there because we're gonna go try and do this together. I hope that there's just, and this is one part of the leaks we have seen zero of. The justification for co-op, the justification for multiplayer in the world, all of these elements by themselves do not scream multiplayer at all. In fact, they scream the exact opposite. It's all things that we've seen and known and how they operate with one person playing the game. So what do they do with this map? What do they do with the locations? Like you said, to give them importance, to make them memorable, and to make them places that we can converge. Like, hey, let's all go here. Let's all go do this. Let's all go here. And I feel like we know zilch about how that's going to come together or what the Pokemon Company plans to do.
Yeah, I mean, not to be like negative, I have a hugely positive look on this game thus far. I do. Like, I genuinely think a lot of this information is cool, very weird but cool, and I'm excited. So I just want to kind of like throw that in there as a prerequisite because here's the thing, right? And this is something that I think is in the back of everyone's mind, always kind of has been, I know for me at least. What are the chances, it's just tacked on because they think multiplayer's in, and that's it. It doesn't work with these systems. It wasn't built with that in mind. It was just, we did the half step in Sword and Shield of multiplayer. Let's at least actually give it to them now, right? Like, it doesn't read anymore as like this game is built for 4 people. There was a time where I think that was kind of like the thought, like, well, like, because I think that's why everything kind of became a little bit confusing is, well, they need to plan if 4 people play this whole game together. That's easy to do in a story-based game because you could easily just hop in, and join. Like if I'm playing, I don't know, like Saints Row co-op with somebody, right? That's easy. You jump in. It's mission based. It's, even though there's open world, there's no stats or anything. With this game, it's like, let's say I get the game and then Zach, like, you don't play it for 2 days, and then on your second day you're like, hey, join me. I come in. I've been playing for those 2 days. My team is a little bit more thought out. Like, does that break the game? I feel like it has to, right? There's no, because it either breaks the game and allows me to get you to catch up to where I am, which I guess works for some people, but maybe like game breaking for others, or they nerf me, which makes it not fun for me to play. So it's like
there's still no clear way of how that works, and then you throw gyms in the equation. The fact gyms don't scale. Can you just go and wipe the game for me? Is it instanced? Is it separate that you can go get a gym badge, I can go get a gym badge? I feel like that's the way it has to work, is like, oh, you can go get this badge, I can go get this badge. So technically in my game you could go get all 8 badges, but I still have to get the badges, and that's, I mean, I really hope you're wrong. I really hope that there are ways that it does really necessitate co-op, but I could easily see it going your way. I do think some of the things of like alpha Pokemon and mass outbreaks maybe are their way of appealing to multiplayer. Let's talk about some of this Legends Arceus stuff, because alpha Pokemon are back, size variations are back, and that is a bit odd in this more traditional type game.
I think seeing the size alterations come back especially is interesting, because with this game we're pretty much already confirmed to know of a few Pokemon that are like minuscule. I mean, like we've already had like 4 or 5 where it's like these things are going to be small,
tiny.
So I guess it is interesting to see, like, hey, maybe we can find one that's like visible. That'd be cool. The salt Pokemon in particular. Like, oh wow, look at this one. I can almost see it. So I guess like in a way it made sense, but I think that is more so for multiplayer, right? Because that seems like something that is, evergreen in the sense that people are always going to be like, I want to find the largest version of this thing, right? Yeah. So now it's like, or like I want to find a shiny large, insert Pokemon here. Like I want to find a shiny large Pawmi, right? Before it was just I want to find a shiny Pawmi, but now we introduce something with size that may make it more interesting. I think those are just ways to make the collecting aspect of it be as prevalent as it should be, right? Because now it's like it's not just every Pawmi is going to be the same size. Like there is going to be some difference there, meaning people's goals may change with it. Like somebody might want a really small one because it's cuter, or a big one because again, it's more aggressive looking. So I think that just more so stems from like a way to kind of pad out time, which works. I think it works for the world building because animals are different sizes, and it works from a gameplay perspective because like, yeah, it'll add some extra hours and it could be fun because like maybe you want to find a Pokemon of a particular size for a mission, and then I can hop in and help you speed that up. So I think in instances like that, it does seem like it could be really cool, but it is weird that we're getting that. Another thing that's like really weird to me is now that alphas are back, they're saying that it's not going to be called alphas, but they are similar in function and have to do with the story. So that like, to me, it's like, how do you use a feature but rename it and give it more importance? Very weird stuff. I don't know.
And then mass outbreaks, like, do you think there's a chance that there is some progression related element to beefing out your Pokedex? You think some of the elements of capturing this many of this type, like, because the mass outbreak thing, unless it's just so intrinsically tied to co-op, I don't know how that works, because throwing 20 Paradox Jigglypuff, like I just don't know how that. Yeah. Unless it's just everyone can go there and now you can all catch it. Like.
No, you're absolutely right. Okay, so now that you say that, I can think of an instance where they would use it. It could just be that some rarer Pokemon only appear during mass outbreaks. So like, let's say, you know what I'm saying? So like maybe a Pokemon's not available. So like the Jigglypuff wouldn't be even in the game unless it happens in an outbreak. Then it's like, now there's reason to go. I can see them doing that. But you do bring an interesting point. Calling it a mass outbreak makes it I mean, maybe it'll be called something different in the game, but yeah, the whole point of a mass outbreak was to chain catch Pokemon for like your challenges and for shinies. Right. And the only reason that was even possible in Legends Arceus was because of the catching mechanic, which we know for a fact is not in. So yeah, it does kind of make it a little bit like useless of a function to bring back. And I think that, okay, so like that's what's weird to me about this, right? The thing that's weird to me about this game so far is that they are bringing back so much stuff. Like, I think more so than any Pokemon game we have ever seen. Like, this game is actually really being held up by ideas of previous games. Like, we look at the camp being picnic now. That's crazy. The alpha Pokemon, the mass outbreaks, the size variations. We even have, apparently, we're going to be able to do the raids again, which is like so weird to me. That was like a Galar only thing. Right. I don't even know how it's going to make sense because things can't Dynamax in this region. I mean, as far as we know, right? So it's like, how are we going to, what is a raid going to look like? The whole reason why raids were fair was because it's 4 people versus this big monstrous thing. Right. Like, the only thing I can think of is like, is there a chance that we go to the Isle of Armor or not the Isle of Armor, but the second DLC? Why can't I think of its name right now? The Tundra. Yeah, Crown Tundra. Crown Tundra. Is there a chance that we go there? just that area, because that's where the raids were like really popular. That would be a cool way to have, you know, an older generation kind of have its moment. But also it would be interesting because it is just an island. They very much can still just, you know, asset flip and render it in the new style, whatever they have to do it. It wasn't that big of an area. That's the only way I see these raids coming back, because it does not make sense in this region. In Paldea, it does not make sense. There would be no reason why the energy would reach there. And honestly, it just seems a little half-baked. So I'd have to imagine there's a way to tie it all in. At least I'm hoping. I hope they don't just go back on their word that Galar is the only region.
Mass outbreaks could tie in, I guess. Like, what if that is how you access the Paradox Pokemon? What if it's like, oh, a portal's open and now they're coming in. So the mass outbreak is less about number, but more about, oh, now there's a bunch of feral Jigglypuff are raging through, you know, the fields, and you have to go catch them or beat them or whatever.
Yeah, that made sense to me. And I think it kind of ties into, like, I'm already kind of putting the story together in my head. Trying to, at least. And again, I think the only way this all made sense is, you know, whatever game you get, that professor will be studying some, like, again, it's going to be some wormhole stuff, I guarantee it, where in this region there are, like you said, portals that are opening and Pokemon are coming on through. You're probably going to have to go and investigate these happenings while doing your gym challenge for whatever reason. And that's probably...
They could call it mass paradox, or instead of mass outbreaks, if they're saying they're changing the name of Alpha, it could just be called, you know, there's a Pokemon Paradox, and then you go there and that's where you get, you know, these paradox
and they
Pokemon.
did say that they're rarer than normal Pokemon, that you can't, if the wording in my head is correct, I think they said that you can't go about catching it the same way, which would make sense if that's the case, because then you'd have to wait for the Paradox outbreak. And again, that made sense from a story perspective. Obviously these things aren't going to be roaming around if they're not from here.
Right.
So yeah, I guess there are ways to tie it all together. Again, it really comes down to what you said. We're getting this information all backwards. Yeah. And it's really hurting the game in a way. Not in a way that's very serious. I know, like,
just
a lot
the
of people are like,
comprehension of it.
It's exactly. It's just the understanding. It's not that the game is going to be any worse by the end of this. It's us getting to that point is going to be a lot more confusing.
So the reason,
all in all, you know,
the reason that they're so much more difficult to catch is because they need a massive picnic bath after they come through that paradox. They're just so gross and
they're so dirty. Yeah.
So dirty. What do you make of the fact that, like in Legends Arceus, they're saying that you can choose when to evolve? Do you think that has any implication, or is that just like a quality of life thing?
It would be awesome if there's a story reason. I do think it's a major quality of life change, though. Mm-hmm. It's something about it. I don't know. Like, I'm still going to evolve things when they become available, but it's just something about it not having to press B every level is nice. Also, the way the moves work now are going back to the Legends Arceus stuff from what they're saying. So that's also huge quality of life stuff. Can't be mad at it. I'm actually super excited, but I don't know that it's a thought out story thing, because they didn't even explain it in Legends Arceus, really. Yeah.
Well, we do know that this maniacal star is thought out, because apparently the flags that we saw in the earlier trailer, apparently they're related to the evil team. And we were discussing this off air and saying, you know, it has to be, given like dancer and singer and given this whole thing and the streamer gym leader, you know, or the VTuber or whatever she is, that it's got to be entertainment based. And I think that ties into the star. Like, maybe this is one of those organizations that's trying to like build child stars, and maybe this gym leader escaped from the organization or something, and, you know, they're trying to make everyone famous, and obviously there's some underlying evil purpose for this. But so we've seen this star before, and apparently there is going to be an evil team again, which I think is good. And it's interesting that these flags are tied into that. Previously we thought, okay, maybe the flags are for racing, maybe the flags are for gyms, but it seems like, no, these are advertisements or paraphernalia or something.
Yeah. So it's funny, like you were saying, we obviously we talked about this off air, and we did throw around a couple of ideas, but hearing you speak about it just now did kind of make me think, what if okay, so what if they are an entertainment based company, like we're saying, everyone in the region thinks they're good, welcomes them. That's the whole point of the evil team is the reveal, right? What if what they actually are is this game's like NASCAR, like this game's like in-universe version of like a racing company. And the reason I say this is because now when you look at the flags, that could be the gym leader's flag, and it's the fire gym, but it's branded with the company's logo. You get what I'm saying? Like maybe that's what that is. And that's why it's also flags, because it's, again, racing. So what if like these people are all like, I mean, we've already kind of discussed it. They all have jobs outside of being a gym leader. But what if being a gym leader really does tie around the racing aspect? Like it is kind of another, like they could be taking a crack at the Galar idea again, where it's the gyms are for show. It's this big event. It's not just like they could just be doing it again. Like I discounted that idea before, and even with the starters being all entertainers, I kind of just assumed like there's no reason they would ever do it again. But maybe they felt like in Sword and Shield they didn't really hit all of those ideas that they had, and they're doing it again and bigger and bolder. And I think it would make sense, because even if you I guess this is kind of another thing we're going to talk about. We do have another leaked image here, which is of the VTuber character, and we don't know if this is actually a real leak or anything. It could very much just be a talented person, but in for this, I'm just going to assume that it is real. It does look like she may even have like a similar branding on the bottom of her jacket, you know? So it could just very much be an organization. She could even be evil, to be honest. We don't actually, we have a couple of instances in the past where gym leaders or Elite Four members are actually not great people. Giovanni was the 8th gym leader. He was the head of Team Rocket, which, obviously not a good guy. In XNY, one of the Elite Four members was part of Team Flare, and she was very open about it. So it's like, that could be a cool thing to play on too, to have this like VTuber who's clearly like a famous streamer or something of that nature be kind of the face of this bad organization, this evil team.
Yeah, I think that the announcer even, or something of that sort. Exactly. I think you're onto something. I think this is going to be, they are sort of the sponsor or the brand for whatever entertainment takes place in this region. I would rather it be they run a freak show circus where there's these convergent Pokemon that no one's ever seen, and somehow they're displaying them and people are like, what's going on here? But that might be a little too dark for Pokemon. Although Joseph did inform me that Primeape dying because he's too angry is legit canon. So who knows where they're going this time. But yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it's going to be some sort of entertainment. They're running it, and then they end up being bad. And I could see the conceit being like, oh, they're forcing the Pokemon to race or something, and they don't want to race, or oh, they're whatever it is. There's going to be some silly reason for why it's bad. But I think you're onto it, and I do wonder if this flag that merges their star logo with the fire, I think you might have got it. I think that might be it.
If that is the case, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool to have an organization that is a villain. We had that in Galar, obviously, but I think it was really like more of a red herring than anything else, because again, the whole time in Galar, you're assuming that Team Yell is the villains, when obviously they clearly weren't. They were just fans of Marnie, your rival. And then at the end, when the realization comes on you that, the chairman, Rose, is like the evil guy, and his organization is pretty much built up over the years to summon Eternatus and like ruin humanity or whatever that whole plan was. It's like, it's cool to see like a very inherently evil person. And honestly, Pokemon has always been really good about that. Like their villains are all insanely crazy. Like, I mean, you even look at X and Y, which people always say is like the baby game. You know, the main bad guy's goal was to literally kill all humans. Like that was essentially his whole thing was like, like he was, well, depending on what game you were playing, but if you're playing Y, like he was going to kill everybody. That's insane to me. But anyway, if these guys want to sponsor races, let them do it, right? Like, they can't be too bad. But I'm sure maybe whatever their technology is what's causing the like rifts in time and stuff. I'm sure that's what it is. It's like, oh, we found these new stadiums that power these bikes, and we have this interesting new way to do these gym races where like now you're racing the gym leader and you battle as you go, whatever. But also it takes up, we use this energy that is crystallized and no other region has it, but we're using it. And now this is causing rifts in time, allowing the, you know, and maybe that's why the gym leaders the professors are doing what they're doing. They're trying to investigate where this energy is coming from, why it's causing. I do still think, and I am still holding out to the idea that the other professor will be evil, but now I'm starting to think, what if the other professor just works for the bad team and like isn't necessarily evil, but thinks that what they're doing, it could be, you know, a Jurassic Park thing where like they're doing it for entertainment, but hey, it's not doing good stuff for the Pokemon. And
could that be it as well? Either in addition to or instead of, you know, they mentioned a thing about the Paradox Pokemon will be easier to catch at the end of the game. And so could there be some sort of entertainment thing? Like they have these, I know I'm going back to my Freak Show Circus, but they have these Paradox Pokemon on display, and so they're very hard to get during the game, but once you free them all, now they just roam free, or, you know, something of that sort.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
We got to find out if racing is like the crux of Paldea, or if racing just is like, okay, it happens to be there as well. And, you know, we don't have a lot of indication one way or the other. We know that you can ride Koraidon, and I feel like there was a leak that did say like, oh, racing is a part of it, but that hasn't been brought back up very many times.
No, I think a lot of the racing aspect of it does, to be fair, stem from a conversation we had where you said that the final thing is going to be a race, because that to me though just seems so like like it has to be in like involved, because at the end of the day, right, if you're not going to have something be a major leg to stand on, don't design your legendaries based around it, right? Like that's kind of it's not like we're just saying this stuff because it would be cool. The two legendaries are quite literally representative of time and riding, like actually riding them as motorcycles. There is in no way a universe where these legendaries exist and there isn't a reason for them to be rideable. There's no reason. There's never been a time where we ride on legendaries at all. There is no version of a legendary where you can really do that in this capacity. I mean, like obviously anyone could get on a Groudon and kind of stand on him while he walks, but I mean, these things morph into motorcycles. There has to be a gameplay loop, right? So I do think I don't know if it's going to revolve around it, but no, I mean, no, there was information about racing, but we didn't know if it was like a mini game or a huge mechanic. I'm banking on it being a mechanic, maybe not to like it might not be every gym leader thing, but there's almost no way that I don't see like racing being a thing, even if it's just racing with your friends, everybody on their Miraidon or Koraidon. I think that would be really fun, and a cool way to add like a mini game to a game that's like an RPG. You know, RPGs are always more fun when you have things like that. Anyway, so I don't know. To me, it made sense. So I'm hoping it does kind of tie everything together with this, because it makes it more interesting. And again, it's the only way that we really have context for a lot of this stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm with it.
It really makes me wish we had voice acting. I can just imagine them announcing the races and like you can just hear their voices. That has to be the next step for Gen 10.
Yeah.
I really hope they get there one day.
That's so sad that like that's our biggest wish for like.
I mean, it's a viable wish though. Like, why does Xenoblade have voice acting and Pokemon doesn't? Why,
why does Legend of Zelda have voice acting?
Yeah, come on. I mean, I don't think that. I don't think that one of the pillars of Pokemon is that nobody talks. Like, I don't think that's something that we have to adhere to. Like,
not only that, but like even in Pokemon Masters, the app, the mobile game, that game, the whole point of it is it's all of the like named trainers, like all the really famous, every gym leader, all that stuff, whatever, being in the game, they're all voiced, like all of them. And like fully voiced by real voice actors in the industry who do other games, other Nintendo games even. So to me, it like, I don't know why they don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, even in X and Y, the voice actor for Leon is the same voice actor who did Claude in like Fire Emblem 3 Houses. And so he's already like worked with Nintendo, plays Leon,
just
who is
a
major character. Just put him in the game. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And no, it's very cringy. I mean, in Sword and Shield, the scene where you're doing the dark gym and Pierre's like singing. What? It was just silence and like an instrumental. It was so goofy. And he's like singing to a mic and you're just like, I can't believe I'm watching this right now.
Yeah. Well, and they have the anime, they have the movies, they have the web episodes. So like, man, It is very odd. I'd love to know what their explanation or their reasoning is for that. It's not like these games don't sell enough and justify a bigger budget for voice acting or whatever. So, man, I don't think we're going to get a trailer this coming week. I do think that August 4th date that we saw on the one of the Japanese pages is going to be the next big thing. So I feel like, that'll be when we actually legitimize some of this stuff and see it from Pokemon. I'll end with this. Of all this stuff, what do you think they are going to focus on in their next trailer? Do you think they try to go balls to the wall and give us all of it? Do you think that they just focus on the paradox, just on the convergent, just on the gym leaders? What do you think we see as we piece together this upside down puzzle?
Okay. This is my theory. Put it in the books.
Yes.
I think we're going to probably open with learning the name of the region. So in this case, Paldea. I think they're going to, like, I imagine it's going to be like, welcome to Paldea. Obviously not with voice acting because we know that they don't do that. But I think they're going to introduce the gym leaders. And I think they're going to introduce the crystallization gimmick. And along the way, I'm sure there'll be like little Pokemon that we haven't seen yet. And, even some areas maybe. But I think as far as information goes, I think that's genuinely it. I think we're going to get the name of the region, maybe some Pokemon, the gym leaders, and the crystallization gimmick in particular. And I think at the very end, we'll get a hint to the Paradox, but I don't think we're seeing them in the next trailer. If we do, that would be awesome, and that would be a dream come true. Right. I want them to do everything, but I don't think that's what we're going to see. What about you? Do you think they're going to go crazy with it, or?
I think that makes pretty good sense. I mean, I could see. Is the reason that you're saying gym leaders because those leaked out first, or is that past precedent that they like to reveal gym leaders?
So as far as the past, I believe they only showed 2 or 3 gym leaders for the third trailer. I think it was like Nessa, and then because the demo came out for like around E3. Do you remember? Where you were able to play like the second gym, which was the water gym, I believe, and like water gym. So that was around the time of the trailer, maybe a little bit after. So like I think that's why they did they had to do the gym leaders, was to kind of get that out first, so that when you're fighting Nessa, it made sense. But for this again, I think the reason why showing the gym leaders made sense is because of the open world nature of it. I don't think there is much of a precedent of it. But especially not showing like 8th gym or 7th gym, like you would never see that in the trailer. it's just for this in particular, it's kind of important because, again, even if it doesn't scale, you can tackle them at any point. And I think it's important to know who you're going to fight. So that's the only reason I kind of guess that.
I'm going to say that just to be different, I'm going to say that, they announced the region, and then the specialty of this region is either the conversion or the paradox. And so they show that to kind of define what Paldea is and why it's important. And then tease the crystallization. Well, I'll just say that. I think because they teased crystallization last time, that's a very, good guess of what we're going to see. But they continue to tease it. We get another stupid 2 seconds of crystallization at the end. And I think it'll be important to show off a bunch of new Pokemon. And my dream would be that we get some indication of multiplayer mechanics. It would be very odd if the first second trailer, I guess, was very co-op focused, people running in different directions, all of them trading, and then we didn't see that here. So I do think there's got to be some segment that maybe it shows off Pokemon Picnic, maybe it is indicative of multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, what's weird is, like, you're absolutely right that, especially when rewatching the second trailer, because I think we did that recently. It's such a multiplayer trailer, like, genuinely. It shows four trainers throughout the entire thing, and it shows moments of them doing their own thing, but it's the same trainers wearing the same things,
right? Same
group, all around the map. So I think, like, for a lot of people, they may not even realize that was the narrative strung kind of throughout, because I know I didn't. I just thought they were just showing different trainers at different points, but it is the same four trainers doing pretty much everything in it. So I honestly, Zach, I think, like, maybe you are right, and this is bigger than, just being a tacked on thing. And maybe I'm just not giving it enough credit, because I didn't give that trailer credit for being multiplayer centric. So there could be a huge chance that in this new trailer, maybe they do show us what it looks like to battle a gym leader with another player, or what the open world looks like being with four people. That would be honestly, I kind of want that more than what I said. I just went for, like, the most Pokemon Company Game Freak answer,
which is most likely what they'll do. But it would be sick if they just, like, opened with a dip from black, and it was just your character walking in the open world, and, like, they just did, like, a very modern type trailer. They won't do it, but that would be really nifty. And I could also see them just using the multiplayer as their narrative mechanism. So this trainer goes to face this gym, this trainer goes to face this gym, and they keep sort of that theme of, like, four players, but it's in the background again. They could also do it that way.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect. And honestly, like, if that's how every trailer was handled from here on out, I think the game would be better for it. Kind of show those trainers go on this journey and really, really give the player the chance to be like, oh, this is genuinely multiplayer. Like, this is, like, I want the multiplayer to function that it almost feels like I want people to want to play multiplayer. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, why do I have to? I don't want to play multiplayer. I want to play it by myself. And obviously, I hope that you can play it completely by yourself. I'm sure you can. It's Pokemon. But I almost want it to be, like, a driving force to, like, it would be really cool to go on a journey with somebody else all the way through. Like, that would be really fun. But it needs a reason. And hopefully these trailers give us one.
Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get it this week. Never know. Probably not. Xenoblade's out, and it seems like August the date, but we will obviously keep you posted. Let us know your take on all this stuff, what you think about Pokemon Picnic, washing Pokemon. It's a precious game because you're taking care of them. You're giving them a bath. You're
very precious.
You're really, you're whatever they're doing with these flags up there, and hopefully we learn more. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for joining us for episode 8. Congrats to our Lechonk winner, who is now known. And until next time, everybody, thanks for being here, Joseph. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. SwitchForce out.